among admiring seagulls and going to homeless places to get food after I've wasted all my money on cigs. My job is also philosophy. So we're going to be accompanied by Ephemeral Rift. Now, this man's the only man who's really been properly creative in ASMR in a properly interesting way. He's not mulling about with some out of fucking Argos. He's actually coming up with some broad, expansive ideas. And this is where it's at. I mean, sometimes the ASMR isn't quite as tingly as some of the other things that I've watched, but who gives a shit? This man appreciates Brad Pitt's acting, and he's basically the god of ASMR. So nobody else thought of it before this guy.
Doing the office job. Computers.
You need to go
Computers
back
in the
because
office or computers
what the
here
fuck's
you
going
do
on
that.
here?
I'm a slave
What
to
the
computers.
hell is this?
I enjoy it, but sometimes not. They know it's
What
work.
is happening?
But I think the office work, the sedentary driving, sitting,
Excel document
that kind of
ASMR.
maybe messed up my maybe drive or my motivation to want to work out. Maybe,
What
I
did
don't know.
the
I might just
office
have no
work?
desire to do anything more than walk and hike.
You need to get on the
desire to lift
Sigma male
weights.
grind.
So,
The data's not going to
anywho,
process itself.
right, so back to my daily, my day-to-day philosophy. Okay, so
Not like some
an
bot can
exercise,
do it in
right,
5
make sure I get
seconds.
my exercise for the day. Did I go for like a really long walk and hike? And when I was out all day fishing for 6 hours, making a video the other day, and I might not go for a walk, for the next day or two. Conserve my energy, be lazy, sit around. But for the most part, usually
Now, I
every
want to
day.
make a point here, right? Okay, now this man, this is not a bad looking man. He's rocking the beard, He's actually got a very, very handsome facial complex. But as we can all see, and listen, I have had a knackered skull myself, so I speak from experience. This man's got a lot of physiological stress in his skull, and it'd be, it's up to him. But it's really sad to see because, if you've got a skull like this, it's not necessarily your fault. It's your responsibility to look after yourself, but fault is the wrong word. Because if you've had depressive habits, you could argue that you just need to get off your ass, but you don't know what somebody's been through. You know what I mean? And if they've been moping about physiologically, the skull's not going to be developed well. So I'll say this again and again. If you're a parent, you need to encourage your children to have proper posture, but ultimately give them a choice. Because if it's to do with force, that I'm not even a fucking parent, so but you don't know what I'm parenting. If you were parenting what I'm parenting, you'd have hung up your boots a long time ago.
I'm trying to make sure I'm moving. I don't like sitting and eating. And then, beyond the exercise and
What
making
is
sure I'm
actually
eating
going on
healthy
in this
aspect,
video?
the other parts of my philosophy would be, I guess, any interaction with people. And if I'm going out somewhere, maybe I'll go below the speed limit.
You won't.
But I don't speed anymore than where I'm going to get a ticket. I'm not looking to turn right when you're on red, when you're supposed to, or I don't blow through a stop sign. if I need to, I obey the speed limit for the
Because
most part.
if you
Like I said,
turn
maybe
right,
go
you might
5
become a
miles over or
kebab.
something. I don't shoplift, I don't start fires, I don't do that stuff anymore. So I live kind of just a kind of a boring life. But like I said, when it comes to like I'm gonna do what I want, I don't.
It's not going to be
It's not like I'm
boring
not
if you
gonna
go
break the
and
law.
meet
It's
me.
just like if I want to go and do something, whatever. I don't need anyone to. I don't need anyone's.
We need to do a collab.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. I can do what I want. I don't need a God to tell me what I can or can't do. I don't need other people in society.
No, you
to tell me
don't
what I
need
can
a
or
god to tell
I'm
you
not
what you can and can't do because you are one. So I hate to break it to you, ephemeral rift, but there's all this creative energy and well, the thing is what makes you think you've not got some like extra sensory hearing capability? Wow, that man's got the drip on over there.
what I please. If I want to go and take up hunting and kill deer for the food or for the hell of it, I can do that. I'm gonna do whatever I want within the confines of law.
These people look interested, but I can't be arsed. I'm in the middle of something. Oh, I'll leave him to it.
I want to go to jail and I don't want a fine or a ticket or whatever. Besides, I have no desire to break the law. But I'm gonna.
Well, why not? It's not in order.
I do what I want. I'm gonna do what I
I'm
want.
not saying all laws are bad. The law's important to a certain degree, but if you think that everybody's perceptions are aligned or that it's all works on one-dimensional definition-based legislation, then it's a load of rubbish, and you ought to consider why justice doesn't get served.
And that's not arrogance. It's just that's what we are as organisms, free to do what we want. Unfortunately, we have this thing with the
Well, it
government.
depends on what you want to do. Like, if you want to, that's a very beautiful statement you've made there, Riff. But if somebody's like free to enslave everybody and we're free to, start wearing swords round our necks and like start getting pretty angry about it, you know what I mean?
And so many rules and laws and things, it's crazy. Now what I'm saying is, I'm gonna go what I want. I'm not like saying like, oh, I'm gonna go kill someone or I'm gonna rob someone. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just
Well,
saying,
you beat me to it, yeah. Well, I needed to tell you.
if I want to go and just go down a trail and then go off the trail into the woods, or I'm gonna go fish somewhere that doesn't look like I'm not gonna go fish somewhere where you're not supposed to. Like I'm private. I'm not gonna trespass. I don't trespass. But I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna take and do what I want that I legally can, and that's it. I don't know how else to explain that. I am free. We're all free to live and do as we please within the confines of the law. Unfortunately, we have laws, right?
Yeah, but I've already said it.
I'm not looking to break the law. I'm not looking to try it. Like, I don't have all these stop signs. I'm not looking to blow stop signs because
You are free unless you cause the people making the rules some trouble. You know what I mean? You are free to eat of all the trees, but not this one because this one bears knowledge. And regardless of whether or not it'll make you, self-aware of the fact that you've got your tackle out, you can't have it.
live some kind of eternal paradise.
No, there's no such thing. Something always goes wrong. Otherwise, it'll go round in a loop, and everybody will just fucking, all the hymns will be like watching paint dry.
Christianity or
Somebody's gonna get annoyed.
Islam or whatever the religion might be, I don't know. But now, as far as I'm concerned, there's no God. If someone, now here's my thing. So I was raised. I wasn't born Roman Catholic. I was raised. I went to Roman Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th grade of high ago when I was 18. And so I was baptized and I was confirmed. I have two middle names because one of them is my confirmation name.
How do you know that they haven't raped your vessel? I understand that rituals are important, but when you pray on somebody with a ritual during the fucking, like, when they can't even, like, make their mind up about it, well, they're saying there's an age of consent for certain things. Well, you want to start mauling about with that? Well, how do you know they haven't raped you? Do you think that these have energetic significance? And if so, do you agree with the energy? How do you get rid of it if you don't want the effect? Have you considered these things?
I want to know what that sound is. Anyway, so I'll just get a little closer so my voice is a little above that background sound. And so I went to church every Sunday. I was confirmed and I was baptized. And you know what? That didn't bring me any closer to God. I never heard God's voice. I never saw any signs of God. And I was as close to God as you could possibly get besides being a priest or being a pope. And
that's the furthest away from God that you can possibly get, because it's a load of dogma, you know what I mean? Doctrine, nonsense. It's got nothing to do with it. Like, I'll tell you why you're closer to God now, because you're listening to sounds and appreciating what it is for, like, senses to pick up things that are there. You know, that's real. People want to talk about what prayer really is, or worship in a true sense. You enjoy running, go running and feel your feet on the floor. You enjoy breathe in the air and really appreciate that it's there. You know what I mean? Like, this man likes tapping on shit and all that kind of nonsense and being better than everybody else at the creative aspect. That is worship. Worship of being. How can you be like, why does it need to be like sucking somebody's dick? Like, it doesn't need to be that. You can just exist and we'll all be happy about it. Look, he's here. You know what I mean?
Talk about that for a moment. Pope, here we are in 2025, and we're still doing this whole thing where a human being, an ape, cosplaying as some kind of spiritual representative of a fictional god. That's what it is. These popes, these religious leaders,
that's just a monarchy, but jib.
Imperfect, fallible apes like me, like you. Not to make you feel bad, but that's what human beings are. Okay, whatever that sound was is gone. That's what human beings are. Apes. Fallible, imperfect apes. But then we have this one human being. These human beings that...
I'm sure I'm a reptile.
This cult of Christianity that get into this whole thing with God. This fictional stuff is becoming so... It's crazy. And then you elect this person as a pope who's like the main... I don't know, the main head and some kind of direct overseas crap. It's an ape. It's a monkey cosplaying as a spiritual leader who has direct contact with a fictional god. It's just a fictional cosplay. That's what the Pope is.
You better check your facts here, because how do you know it isn't an actual deity that's deceiving everybody? But what makes you think that it even is God? How do you know it's not some snake with a top hat on? Seriously. Like, you know what I mean? What's it up to? You wouldn't believe what it's up to. You know what I mean? Like, you need to open your mind to these sorts of things. And if you're like an atheist, well, we need to conduct a study. You know what I mean?
Fictional person that has mental you have to have mental problems. How do I say mental problems? That's not really a nice thing to say. Mental, you don't really say some intellectual, whatever. I don't want to say like crazy, but you have to just...
So it needs to be in the mental health legislation that if anybody starts taking the Bible seriously, that they ought to be locked up and injected with a Clipixol, because if it's not, then it's basically discrimination and somebody's going to the brig and I won't have anything to do with it, because So you all think that you ought to blame somebody, and like the thing is it's all just karmic law. So and law isn't even the right word, but there isn't a word to describe what it is that is, you know, it's how it is. It's energy transfer. You cannot get a good result from a bad intention necessarily unless you are willing to evolve, and the actual core intention that underlies a bad intention becomes good through evolution based on direction. Understand?
Yeah, so I don't want to spend too much time on the Pope and everything, but it's just that's not normal. It's not normal. It's not natural.
All right, moving on. The Pope.
I don't like the notion of saying goodbye to the fishing, to my wife and son, and to the enjoyment of life. But that's just it's going to happen.
Man,
Money.
like, listen. You know, I haven't even watched the full video here, but the fact that things are temporary is actually a beautiful thing. And there's the idea that, you know, a god in an infinite void of time would envy a mortal because of the meaning that temporary existence would make. Unfortunately, what makes you think we're not all immortal in a cosmic sense? But when it comes to karmic realities, let's say, or flux shifts, evolutionary energy transfer patterns, as I've just discussed, you might think, well, I can get away with anything. No, you'll end up in a worse place than they describe in the fucking Bible. And the worst thing is it's not even a deity doing it, it's your own mind. You know what I mean? Fucking hell. Fucking hell, mate. Like, if you're going to be some sort of piece of shit and not actually attempt to make a great effort to evolve properly, you won't be laughing when you're in a kettle that becomes, like, beyond a nightmare, you know what I mean? And it'll be you doing it to yourself until you fucking adapt or learn. So if you want to believe in eternal hell, you better believe that, like, it doesn't exist. And if it does, it's you doing it for ages so you can make yourself think that it's eternal. So it's all temporary, but, you know, if you're a piece of shit, you're going to be in pain forever. And even if you're having a good time, you'll realise that it was shallow nonsense. And as soon as you realise it, you'll feel the emptiness. And your little holiday will make it all worse because ultimately you'll return back to the piece of fucking filth that you once were. And I'm not talking to everybody, I'm talking to specific natures in people. Now, if you are a main player in a story, even if you're a massive piece of shit, then all right, well, you played a big part, probably for a good reason, but ultimately, you're still a piece of shit. But let me tell you what the worst piece of shit is. It's somebody who sits on the sidelines, and I say this in the worst form of energy that this word represents, to judge like somebody in a real position of responsibility and just sits there and does nothing and makes absolutely no attempt to fucking actually evolve properly. Right? Now, if that's you, like, look, there is no such thing as eternal hell. It's all designed to teach you how to behave so that you don't suffer. That's the relative form of mercy. These rules, laws, energetic transfer, natural phenomenon, blah, 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 they're part of balance and duality, and you cannot escape it. So it's a good thing that you know, somebody, the universe, the self, whatever, is looking after it all and making sure that you don't go to some sort of Jesus brig. Because if you did, then it'd be a load of toss, wouldn't it? Aye. Think about it.